Zariah Cole's quiet little bookstore life imploded the night Hollywood's golden boy, Liam Carter, stumbled in from a storm, soaked, desperate, and carrying a secret that could shatter everything. She never wanted the spotlight. But when the press painted her as his scandalous lover, her calm world began spiraling into chaos. Could she survive the glare of fame, or would Liam's dangerous secrets pull them both under? The rain hammered the windows of Literary Brew, Zariah's bookstore cafe. She swiped the rag across the last table and sighed. At 32, she was proud of what she'd built in Oakwood. The place wasn't glamorous, but it was hers: floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, soft lamps, little reading nooks that smelled of paper and coffee beans. Another day done, she muttered, glancing at the clock. Almost midnight. Thunder cracked, sharp enough to make her flinch. Storms always made her edgy when she was closing alone. She reached for the lights, then froze. A furious pounding rattled the front door. Zariah's chest tightened. She clutched her rag like it was a weapon. Through the rain-streaked glass, a tall figure hunched against the downpour, shoulders bent as though the storm itself was chasing him. "We're closed," she called, but the knocking only grew louder, more urgent. She hesitated. The stranger looked soaked to the bone, water running off him in rivulets. "Please," a deep voice begged from outside. "I need help." Her instincts screamed no, but something in that voice, strained, exhausted, pulled her forward. She cracked the door open. The man stumbled in, nearly collapsing against her. His clothes clung to him, expensive but ruined, his chest heaving. "Thank you," he gasped. "I didn't know where else to go." Then he lifted his face and Zariah's heart stopped. Even dripping wet, even with his hair plastered to his forehead, she knew him instantly. Liam Carter. That Liam Carter. Movie star. Millionaire. The face on half the billboards in America. Her mouth opened, but he cut her off in a hoarse whisper. "Please. Don't tell anyone I'm here." Her mind spun. Why on earth was Hollywood's golden boy pounding on her door in the middle of a storm, looking like he'd been running for his life? "Are you hurt?" she asked, noticing how he leaned on his right leg. "No. Yes. I don't know." He raked a trembling hand through his wet hair. "I just need somewhere to hide. For a few hours. Please." There was again in his eyes, fear. Desperation. Something raw and broken that decided for her. Zariah shut the door, flipped the sign to closed, and locked it tight. "Over there," she said, pointing to a corner table. "I'll get you a towel." When she returned with a towel and steaming coffee, Liam sat slumped, head buried in his hands. "Here." She pushed both toward him. He looked up, and for a moment she saw not the flawless star, but a man on the edge. "I can't thank you enough, miss." "Zariah. Zariah Cole." "Zariah," he repeated, his voice softer, steadier. I know who you are." He winced. "Just Liam. Please." She slid into the chair across from him, studying the face the cameras never captured. Dark circles under his eyes. A scar above his brow, makeup always erased. He looked human. "So," she asked, "want to explain why the most famous actor in the world is banging on my door at midnight, looking like a fugitive?" Liam wrapped his hands around the coffee cup, though his fingers still trembled. "It's complicated. I've got time." His gaze flicked to the rain-slicked windows as if shadows might be watching. "There are people looking for me. People who want to shut me up." Her pulse jumped. Should I be worried? Dangerous people? Not in that way. He dragged the towel over his face. Hollywood politics. Was. My manager. The studio. I found out things I wasn't supposed to. Money missing. A scandal being buried. When I confronted them, it got ugly. His jaw tightened. Now they're making sure I disappear before the truth gets out. Zariah swallowed. Quiet, drama-free Zariah Cole, suddenly sitting across from a man who had the power to upend her life with one whispered secret. "I just need a place to stay until morning," Liam said. "Then I'll leave. You'll never see me again." Her sensible side screamed no. But looking at him, shaken, exhausted, she couldn't push him back into the storm. "I've got a small apartment upstairs," she said. "You can crash on the couch." The relief on his face nearly undid her. "Thank you. I promise I'll be gone before you open tomorrow." Her apartment wasn't luxury, just a snug living room with a tiny kitchen, one bedroom, one bath. But it was safe. Clean. A refuge. "The couch pulls out," she said, tossing him blankets. "Bathroom's there. If you want to clean up." He stood awkwardly in the middle of her space, expensive clothes clinging like they didn't belong. "This is very kind of you." It's just for tonight, she reminded him and herself. Once he was set up, she retreated to her room, changed into pajamas, lay staring at the ceiling, every nerve buzzing with disbelief. Liam Carter was asleep in her apartment. Her apartment. But sleep wouldn't come. The storm clawed at her window. Doubt clawed at her chest. What if letting him in was a mistake? Around 3 a.m. a crash jolted her awake. Heart hammering, she snatched her phone, ready to dial 911, and cracked her door. Liam stood by the window, blinds parted, his posture taut. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I thought I heard something." "You're paranoid," she said, though she crossed to the window anyway. The street outside was deserted. Rain streaked, empty under the glow of the street lamps. "Maybe," he admitted. "But when people really are after you, it's not paranoia." They stood side by side, staring at the storm. The silence between them was charged, unfamiliar. "You should try to sleep," she told him gently. "Whatever this is, you'll handle it better rested." His shoulders eased slightly. "Good night, Zariah. And, thank you again." "Good night, Liam." Back in her bed, she listened to the faint creak of the pull-out sofa as he settled in. Tomorrow he'd be gone. Her life would go back to normal. This would just be a bizarre story to tell her best friend Maya, the night Hollywood showed up at her door. But when sleep finally dragged her under, her dreams were not normal. She was running down rain-slicked streets, shadows chasing her, while a pair of weary, storm-drenched eyes watched her like she was the only safe harbor left in the world. Zariah woke to the rich, comforting smell of fresh coffee drifting through her apartment. For a moment, still half asleep, she thought she'd forgotten to switch off her coffee maker the night before. But tin memory hit her like a bolt of lightning. The storm, the disparity pounding at her bookstore door, the old famous face of Liam Carter standing on her doorstep, and the dangerous secret he was hiding. She sat up abruptly, heart racing, and pulled her robe tight round her before stepping out of her bedroom. Her small kitchen, normally quiet and familiar, looked strangely foreign this morning. Liam stood there, broad-shouldered even in an overseas t-shirt. Her overseas shirt, one she sometimes wore as pajamas, that clung to him in a way that made it look like it had been tailored. He turned when he heard her, holding two steaming mugs. "Good morning," he said softly, flashing the kind of smile that had melted millions on the big screen. "I hope you don't mind. I found the coffee and thought it make us both a cup to." Zariah blinked, disoriented. Seeing him barefoot in her kitchen, in her clothes, pouring coffee into her chipped mugs, was more surreal than anything that had happened the night before. "Thanks," she said cautiously, accepting the mug he offered. The heat seeped into her cold hands. "Did you sleep okay?" "Better than I expected to," Liam admitted, running a hand through his hair. "You are courtly surprisingly comfortable." They sat across from each other at her tiny kitchen table. An awkward silence stretched between them, felt only by the occasional sound of rain dripping from the gutters outside. In the light of day, this was no longer a frantic storm circuit in Toronto. This was real. A Hollywood star was in her apartment. And he was hiding from something big. Zariah finally broke the silence. "So, are you going to tell me what's actually going on?" Liam exhaled sharply, staring into his mug as though the answer were hidden in the coffee. "It's a message," he admitted. "My manager, Derek, has been stealing from me millions. Out of my production company. I found out last night. When I confronted him at the hotel, he denied everything and then he threatened me to." Zariah's eyebrows lifted. "Threatened you how?" "He said if I went public, it released things about me. Things that could ruin me, rumors, private details, whatever he thinks the tabloids would do." Is Rotlas to. Lia's jaw tightened, DCS knuckles whitening round the mug. "I lost my temper. We fought physically. Someone must have called security. I panicked and ran. My new film premieres next month. The last thing I need is a scandal where I look uninged." Zariah leaned back in her chair, trying to process. "So right now, you're hiding from your manager, hotel security, and the press. That sounds unsustainable to." A bitterly escaped him. "Derek's good at spinning things. If this goes public, he make me look like the villain. Unstable. Dangerous to." Zariah opened her mouth to ask what his plan was, but her phone buzzed on the counter. She grebede AT and frost when she saw the screen emergency news alert. Her stomach dropped. Lirm, she turned the phone toward him. The headline screamed, breaking, Lirm Carter results manager, flees a Elvis mystery woman. Binet AT was a blurry image of Lirm running through a Zeatel labyrinth right beside AT, a clear photograph of the rear looking up her bookstore earlier that week. Lirm went pale. How did they? I didn't leave this any onto. They must have tracked you somehow, the rear whispered, scrolling down the article with trembling fingers. AT says witnesses saw you entering a small business in a cold late last night. She looked up, her voice cracking. My bookstore. I'm so sorry, Lirm said hoarsely. I never meant to drag you into the store. Before the rear could answer, loud pounding rattled the door downstairs. She froze. Are you expecting someone? Lirm asked, TCS voice low and grim. The rear shook her head. The shop isn't open for hours. They moved to the window. Down on the street, 3 news vans were parked directly outside Literary Brew. Reporters with cameras were clustered at the door, pounding and shouting. Miss Cole. Is Lirm Carter with you? Can you tell us about your relationship? What relationship? The rear muttered furiously. I barely know you two. Welcome to my world, Lirm said bitterly. Where facts don't matter, and every lie sells. The rechts phone rang again. AT was Maya. The rear, girl, please tell me you're seeing the news. Maya's voice came through, panicked but breathless with excitement. You're trending. Your face is everywhere. What is going on? It's complicated, the rear muttered, glancing at Lirm. Complicated. Are you with Kim? Is Lirm Carter really there? Maya pressed. I can't talk right now, the rear said quickly, hanging up. Immediately, more calls and texts poured in. She sank onto the couch, hitting her hands. This is a nightmare too. Lirm sat beside her, guilt-edged across VHS features. I fix this. I go downstairs, tell them the truth. That you were just helping a stranger. That nothing happened between us. Will they believe that? The rear asked flatly. He hesitated. Probably not. But it's the truth. The truth doesn't seem to matter much in your world, she said quietly. He didn't argue. The pounding at the shop door grew louder. The rear's chest tightened with panic. I have another idea, Lirm said suddenly. We wait them out. They can't stay forever. Eventually, they move on to. And in the meantime? The rear snapped. I can't open my shop. I can't leave my apartment. My life is basically on hold because of you two. I know. And I'm sorry. But if we go out there now, it'll only make things worse. Lirm pulled out Wichi's phone. Let me call my lawyer. I know what to do too. He stepped into the bedroom for privacy. The rear grabbed her own phone and checked social media. Her breath caught. The story was everywhere, spreading like wildfire. New headlines screamed. Breaking, Lirm Carter's mystery woman identified as local bookstore owner. Hollywood Playboy's latest conquest, Smilton Librarian. The comments were worse. Since one day Lirm Carter dated black women. Gold digger alert. She probably trapped him on purpose. What does he see in her? She's so ordinary. The rear's stomach churned. She hadn't done anything rotting wrong, and yet the internet was already tearing her apart. When Lirm returned, she shoved her phone at him. This is what your world does. IT destroys people like me. People who just want to live their lives. Lies expression darkened as he read. This isn't right. None of it. He looked at her with fierce determination. Am I liar sending a car? Here's a bag Ellie hit. Is got a safe house. We can hide out there until this comes down. We. The rear repeated sharply. I'm not going anywhere with you. This is your message, not mine too. The rear, look at what he is saying. He tied you to me. If you stay here alone, it'll get worse. Those reporters won't leave. The trolls won't stop. You'll be buried under this. He pointed out the window where more cameras had gathered. Zariah's phone buzzed non-stop on the table, the endless stream of notifications ringing like alarm bells in her ears. Fine, she said at last, her voice tight. A few days. That's it. Relief flooded his face. Thank you. I swear, I'll make this right. As they packed small bags, waiting for the call that would signal their escape, Zariah couldn't stop shaking. One act of kindness on a stormy night had upended her entire world. She had no idea what was coming next. Scandals, betrayals, feelings she didn't ask for, but one thing was certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. And outside her shop, the vultures waited, hungry for the story that had just begun. Inside the lakeside safe house, Zariah and Liam prepared for a flight neither of them could have imagined just 24 hours earlier. Two strangers, thrown together by fate, now tethered by scandal and danger. And far away in Los Angeles, under glittering lights and hidden shadows, Derek leaned back in his leather chair, watching the coverage unfold on his phone. A cruel smile tugged at his lips. Every headline was playing directly into his hands. Liam Carter was cornered. And now, so was the ordinary woman foolish enough to open her door to him. The game was only beginning. Back in Oakwood, a sleek black SUV rolled silently into the narrow back alley behind Literary Brew. Zariah peeked through her kitchen window, heart thudding painfully as she watched a tall man in a tailored suit step out. He scanned the alley with the caution of someone accustomed to being followed. That's Julian, Liam whispered, zipping up the duffel bag he'd hastily packed. My lawyer. He's the only one we can trust right now. Trust. The word landed heavy in Zariah's chest. She wanted to believe him, but trust was a luxury she didn't have. Her life had already been upended in a single night. Still, she nodded and picked up her own bag. She had packed only the essentials, 2 changes of clothes, her laptop, toiletries, and the bottle of medication she couldn't go without. Yesterday she was a quiet bookstore owner. Today she felt like a fugitive. Ready? Liam asked, his voice gentle but taut with urgency. No, Zariah admitted. But let's go anyway. They crept down the back staircase from her apartment, footsteps hushed against the old wooden steps. Zariah had texted Maya earlier, telling her she needed to leave town for a family emergency and asking her to mind the shop. It wasn't entirely untrue. This was an emergency, just not one she could explain. Julian met them at the SUV, his expression sharp with focus. Quickly, he urged, opening the door and glancing toward the street where reporters still swarmed the front of the shop. The moment the locks clicked shut, Zariah felt a small breath of relief. For the first time since the storm, she wasn't directly under the gaze of flashing cameras. But that relief evaporated as she opened her phone. They're saying I'm your secret girlfriend, she whispered, scrolling through a flood of posts on Twitter, her pulse quickening with each new headline. According to this, we've been dating in secret for months. Liam leaned closer, reading over her shoulder. His shoulder brushed against hers, warm and solid. None of that is true, he said firmly. We'll set the record straight. Will we? Zariah shot back, her eyes flashing. Because from where I'm sitting, lies travel a whole lot faster than the truth in your world. Julian cleared his throat from the driver's seat. We're heading to a property outside the city. Secluded, secure, untraceable. No one will connect it to Liam. How long do we have to stay there? Zariah asked, her voice sharper than intended. Just a few days, Julian reassured her. Long enough to get a handle on the situation. The drive stretched nearly 2 hours, winding farther and farther from the city, the landscape shifting from urban sprawl to dense countryside. Finally they turned down a long private road flanked by towering trees. At the end sat a sprawling lakeside house, modern, striking and far too glamorous to feel like safety. This is laying low? Zariah muttered as they pulled into the driveway, eyeing the glass walls and polished wood exterior. It belongs to a friend, Julian explained. He's in Europe for the month. No one will look for you here. Inside, the house was breathtaking, vaulted ceilings, wide open spaces and floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the shimmering expanse of the lake. Under normal circumstances, Zariah might have admired it. But right now she only felt like an intruder. Make yourselves comfortable, Julian said, setting down his briefcase. The fridge is stocked. Groceries will be delivered tomorrow. I'll be in touch daily. He turned to Liam, his expression grave. Derek is already making the rounds, painting you as unstable and violent. He's claiming you attacked him without provocation. Zariah drifted to the window, letting their hushed legal conversation fade into background noise. The lake glittered peacefully under the afternoon sun, a stark contrast to the storm of chaos she had left behind. Her phone buzzed in her hand, another message from Maya. OMG, the reporters won't leave. They're asking all kinds of questions about you and Liam Carter. What is going on? Zariah sighed, her fingers flying across the screen. It's complicated. I promise I'll explain soon. Just tell them no comment for now. By the time she turned back, Julian was gathering his things. I'll check in tomorrow. Try not to worry, we'll get ahead of this. When the front door closed behind him, silence settled in. Zariah and Liam stood in the cavernous living room, the distance between them heavy with unspoken thoughts. You must hate me right now, Liam said finally, his voice quiet. Zariah studied him for a long moment. I don't hate you, she said honestly. I hate this situation. You didn't mean to drag me into it. But you did. Liam ran a hand through his hair, something she'd already noticed he did whenever he was under stress. All you did was help a stranger and now your life is upside down. That's on me. Zariah shrugged, though her insides were knotted. It is what it is. Let's just focus on surviving this. They wandered through the house together, exploring the vast rooms. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a gleaming chef's kitchen, even a media room with plush leather seats. Zariah claimed a bedroom at the far end of the hall, craving some distance to process the madness. Later, she found Liam in the kitchen staring hopelessly into the fridge. I'm a terrible cook, he admitted sheepishly. Usually I have. His voice trailed off. People who cook for you? Zariah finished, raising an eyebrow. Liam laughed softly, a self-deprecating sound. That sounds worse than I meant it. But yes, I can cook, Zariah offered. Nothing fancy. But I won't poison us. Together, they managed to put together a simple dinner of pasta and salad. Sitting across from each other at the island, the glossy perfection of Hollywood faded a little. Liam seemed less like a superstar and more like a man, younger, raw, and strangely vulnerable. Tell me something real about you, Zariah said suddenly, setting down her fork. Not something I could find in a magazine. Liam blinked, then leaned back thoughtful. Real? Okay. His lips curved faintly. I hate making movies. What? Zariah nearly choked. That's your entire career. I love acting, Liam clarified quickly. I hate the rest, the politics, the scrutiny, the endless spotlight. He gestured around them. Case in point. Then why keep doing it? She asked. His eyes lit up, blue and earnest. Because when I'm playing someone else, when I'm telling a story that means something, it's freedom. Like stepping out of my own skin. Nothing compares. That feeling makes everything else worth it. Most days. Zariah found herself nodding. That's how I feel about my bookstore. The business side can be brutal, but when I see someone's face light up because they found the perfect book, that's what makes it worth it. For the first time since this began, silence between them wasn't tense. It was comfortable. Your turn, Liam said with a faint smile. Tell me something real about Zariah Cole. She hesitated, then sighed. I moved to Oakwood 5 years ago after my fiancé cheated on me. With my best friend. Pain flickered across his face. I'm sorry. Don't be, Zariah said with a wry smile. In hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. If he hadn't broken my heart, I never would have had the courage to start Literary Brew. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best decisions. I'll drink to that, Liam murmured, raising his glass of water. She clinked hers against his. After dinner, they drifted into the living room, the television humming softly in the background. Zariah absent-mindedly scrolled her emails until a headline on the screen caught her eye. Liam, she said sharply. Look. He turned toward the TV and his body went rigid. Footage filled the screen. Derek, his manager, stepping out of a hospital with his arm in a sling. The caption blared. Liam Carter's manager speaks out about violent attack. They watched in silence as Derek, face pale and grave, adjusted his sling and addressed the crowd of microphones. I've worked with Liam for years, Derek said solemnly, his voice heavy with false sincerity. And I'm heartbroken to say, this is not the man I thought I knew. I've been concerned about his behavior for some time, Derek said, his voice heavy with false sadness, every syllable carefully measured for the cameras. The pressure of fame affects people in different ways, and unfortunately, Liam has been struggling with serious anger issues and substance abuse. That's a lie. Liam exploded, shooting up from the couch, his voice ragged with fury. I have never had substance abuse problems. Not once. But Derek wasn't finished. On screen, he adjusted his sling and continued, face twisted into the perfect mask of grief. When I tried to intervene, when I begged him to get help, he turned violent. I'm heartbroken. I only want what's best for him. Turn it off, Liam demanded through clenched teeth, his whole body trembling. Please. Zariah grabbed the remote and shut the television off. The screen went black, but the poison Derek had unleashed still clung to the air. He's lying, Liam said bitterly, pacing the length of the living room like a caged animal. He's lying about all of it. The only thing I confronted him about was the missing money. Millions vanished from my production company's accounts, money he had access to. Then why smear you like this? Zariah asked, frowning. To destroy me, Liam answered grimly, running a hand through his hair. If people think I'm unstable, if they believe I'm a drunk or an addict, then no one will take me seriously when I expose him for embezzlement. He's building a shield for himself with my reputation. Can't you prove it? She pressed. If he stole the money, there must be records, right? Liam let out a hollow laugh and sank onto the couch. It's complicated. The accounts were set up with joint authorization. On paper, it could look like I was the one siphoning money. I trusted him. For 10 years, I trusted him with everything. And this is how he pays me back. The pain in his voice was raw, and Zariah felt it deep in her chest. She knew what betrayal felt like. She knew what it was to put your faith in someone only to watch them shatter it. We'll figure it out, she said before she could stop herself. The words startled her. When had this become her fight too? Liam stared at her, surprise flickering across his face. You don't owe me that. Any of this. This isn't your battle. Maybe not, Zariah admitted, lifting her phone to show him the latest headline. Her face was plastered beneath bold letters. Liam's gold digger. Thousands of comments spiraled below it, each one uglier than the last. But they've already made me part of it. They've dragged me in whether I like it or not. Liam's jaw tightened as he scrolled through the venomous posts, his hands trembling with anger. This is disgusting. I'm so sorry, Zariah. You don't deserve this. It's not your fault, she said, though part of her, just a small, jagged part, wanted to blame him. But I'm not going to hide and let them destroy my name. If they want to fight, she met his eyes, steady and determined. Then we fight back. With the truth. Before Liam could respond, his phone buzzed. Julian's name lit the screen. He put it on speaker. Things are escalating, Julian's voice came through, clipped and urgent. Derek is pressing charges. Assault. There's talk of a restraining order. He can't do that, Liam snapped. He's the one who threatened me. It's his word against yours, Julian replied calmly. And right now the optics favor him. He's parading around in a sling while you're hiding out with a woman the press has decided is your mistress. We need to be strategic. What about the money? Zariah cut in sharply. Can't you prove he stole it? We're working on that, Julian said. But forensic accounting takes time. Weeks, maybe months. Right now, our focus has to be the assault allegations and the situation with Ms. Cole. Zariah bristled. I have a name, you know. My apologies, Miss Cole, Julian said quickly. But the press has manufactured a narrative about your relationship with Liam, and it's complicating everything. They're framing you as the cause of his so-called instability. Liam's shoulders stiffened. What exactly are they saying now? That you've been hiding a romantic relationship for months, Julian replied. That Miss Cole is the reason for your erratic behavior, Liam. That she's after your money. That's absurd. Zariah burst out. I met him yesterday. Julian's voice didn't waver. The truth is rarely relevant in these situations. What matters is public perception. Which means, a pause. We need to consider a controlled narrative. A joint appearance. A statement that reframes your connection. Zariah's stomach dropped. You want us to go public? Won't that just make it worse? Not necessarily, Julian countered. If we present a united front, if we get ahead of the speculation, we can defuse some of the scandal. Position you as friends. Say Miss Cole has been providing emotional support. It's sympathetic, relatable. It buys us time. But it's still not the truth, Zariah said sharply. The full truth is too complicated, Julian explained patiently. It involves financial crimes we're not ready to expose. This would be a temporary half-truth. A survival strategy. Liam turned to her, his expression conflicted. What do you think? Zariah exhaled shakily and stood, moving toward the glass doors that opened to the lake. I think I need some air. Outside, the night wrapped around her like a blanket, cool and crisp. The lake lay still, reflecting the stars like fragments of broken glass. She drew in deep breaths, trying to slow the spin of her thoughts. A few minutes later, she heard the door slide open. Liam stepped out, keeping his distance, his voice quiet. I told Julian we'd think about it. No decisions tonight. Good, Zariah said softly. Because I honestly don't know what to do. I don't blame you, Liam admitted, leaning on the railing beside her. This is my world, not yours. The lies. The image control. The half-truths. It's exhausting, even when you've lived in it for years. Is anyone ever really used to it? She asked. He gave a humorless laugh. No, not really. For a while they stood in silence, the stars winking above them. Then Liam asked, Why did you help me that night? You could have called the police. You could have locked the door and walked away. Why didn't you? Zariah thought about it. You needed help. And you were drowning. I couldn't just look the other way. A small, genuine smile touched Liam's lips. Not everyone would have done what you did. Then you've been surrounding yourself with the wrong people, she replied. For the first time that night, Liam laughed, really laughed, and it transformed his face. Softer. Younger. Human. You might be right about that. When they returned inside, the news cycle had already shifted again. Now headlines screamed that Zariah was a longtime fan who had been stalking Liam, worming her way into his life. An old photo of her from college flashed on the screen, dragged from the depths of the internet. This is insane, she whispered, staring at her own smiling face from years ago. How did they even find this? Welcome to life under the microscope, Liam said grimly. Nothing is private. Nothing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Z, I'm worried about you. People are saying crazy things. Please call me. Another message followed immediately. Also, there's a man here offering me $10,000 for information about you and Liam. WTF is going on? Zariah's stomach twisted as she handed the phone to Liam. It's getting worse. They're bribing my friends now. You're right, Liam said grimly. She deserves the truth. At least someone you trust should know what's happening. Zariah nodded, throat tight. She dialed Maya's number, and when her friend answered, her voice was trembling with relief. Zariah, thank God. Are you safe? Where are you? And is Liam Carter really with you? Maya, listen, Zariah said, forcing calm into her tone. I'm fine. I'm safe. And yes, Liam is here. But it's not what the press is saying. She explained everything in quick strokes. The storm, the misunderstanding, the lies Derek was spreading. When she finished, silence lingered on the other end. Then Maya's voice came, careful and stunned. So, you're not dating him? And you're not after his money? When Zariah finished explaining, her voice low but steady, there was silence on the other end of the line. No, I barely know him, she said at last. That's actually kind of disappointing, Maya admitted with a short laugh. I mean the rich and famous part. Not the lying press part. Despite everything, Zariah smiled faintly. Trust me, fame isn't all it's cracked up to be. Maya's tone sobered. So, what do you need from me? Just hold down the fort at the shop. If people ask, say no comment. And please, whatever you do, don't believe what you read. I've got your back, Z, Maya promised fiercely. Always. Just be careful. When the call ended, Zariah felt a sliver of relief. At least one person knew the truth. But as she prepared for bed in the unfamiliar lakeside house, the weight of her reality pressed down hard. Overnight, her world had been ripped apart, and there was no obvious way back to normal. The next morning she woke to the smell of coffee again. This time it didn't startle her, but the sight of Liam in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair tousled from sleep, still jolted her. I made breakfast, he announced, gesturing sheepishly to plates of scrambled eggs and slightly charred toast. I tried to. It's the thought that counts, Zariah said, pouring herself coffee. She had slept badly, dreams of flashing cameras and faceless reporters had chased her through the night. They ate in companionable silence until Liam's phone rang. It was Julian. Someone's come forward, Julian said, his tone brisk. A woman named Vanessa Mitchell. Claims she saw what happened at the hotel. Says Derek was the aggressor, not you. Liam's face lit up with hope. That's amazing. Who is she? A hotel employee, Julian explained. She was tending bar at the event. But, his voice darkened, Derek's team is already working to discredit her. They're saying she's chasing attention or money. Is she willing to testify? Liam asked quickly. Yes, but we need to move fast. The narrative shifts every hour. As Liam and Julian discussed strategy, Zariah glanced at her phone, and froze. Liam, she said sharply, her throat tight. You need to see this. She held out her phone. The headline screamed, Exclusive, the truth about Liam Carter's mystery woman, former fiancé speaks out. Beneath it was an old photo of Zariah with Marcus, her ex, underneath, a quote that made her stomach lurch. She's always been obsessed with celebrities. When we were together, she talked about Liam Carter all the time. I'm not surprised she found a way to trap him. Liam snatched the phone, his face hardening with every word. This is garbage. Absolute garbage. They're just fabricating now. That's Marcus, Zariah whispered, numb. The one who cheated on me. They found him, and now they're paying him to lie about me. Her chest tightened, nausea rising. Julian sighed audibly on the speakerphone. This complicates things. Complicates. Zariah's voice rose, sharp with fury. They're destroying my life. My reputation, my business, my friendships. Everything I've built. For what? Entertainment? I understand you're upset, Ms. Cole. No, she cut him off. You don't understand. This isn't just some PR fire for me. This is my life. My best friend is being harassed, my ex is selling lies, and the entire internet thinks I'm some gold-digging stalker. I can't just manage that. Silence fell. Even Julian had no easy rebuttal. Liam looked stricken, guilt etched deep into his features. Finally, Zariah sank into a chair, her anger spent, leaving only exhaustion. I'm sorry, she murmured. I know this isn't your fault. Not really. No, Liam interrupted firmly. You're right. This isn't fair to you. And we've been handling it wrong. He turned back to the phone. Julian, no more hiding. No more half-truths. We go public. All of it. Liam, Julian warned. I strongly advise against. I don't care. Set up an interview with someone reputable. We'll tell them everything. About Derek, the embezzlement, how Zariah's innocent in all this. No spin. Just the truth. Julian hesitated. And your career? Going public with accusations before we have hard proof could destroy everything you've built. Some things matter more than my career, Liam said, his gaze fixed on Zariah. Like doing what's right. Her heart gave an unexpected tug. Something had shifted between them, a fragile connection born not of choice but of shared fire. Julian exhaled heavily. I'll see what I can arrange. But Liam, please, no more impulsive moves. When the call ended, Zariah studied him carefully. Are you sure about this? Julian's right, it could ruin you. I'm sure, Liam said without hesitation. You've already lost too much because of me. I won't let them keep tearing you apart with lies. His phone buzzed with a new message. As he read it, his expression darkened. What now? Zariah asked cautiously. It's from Vanessa, Liam said grimly. She says men have been following her since she came forward. She's scared. Zariah's pulse quickened. Reporters? Maybe, Liam said. Or maybe Derek's people. If he's willing to steal millions, who knows what else he's capable of. The gravity of it sank in. This wasn't just a media circus anymore. This was dangerous. We need to help her, Zariah said, her voice firm. Liam blinked. We? Yes, we. She risked everything to tell the truth and help clear your name. We can't abandon her now. Slowly, a smile spread across Liam's face, soft but genuine. Zariah Cole, you are not what I expected. What exactly did you expect? She asked, arching a brow. I don't know, he admitted. But not someone who'd stand and fight when walking away would be easier. I've never been good at walking away from the right thing, she said simply. Then she gestured to her phone, where Marcus's betrayal glared back at her. And now it's personal. Nobody gets to lie about me and get away with it. Their eyes locked, solidarity, defiance, and something unspoken sparking between them. So, Zariah said finally, pushing aside the flutter in her chest. What's the plan? First, Liam said, already typing on his phone, we make sure Vanessa's safe. Then we prepare for that interview. And if Derek tries to stop us, his jaw tightened, resolve blazing in his eyes. Then he'll learn what happens when he messes with the wrong people. Outside, rain began to fall, tapping against the glass. The storm that had brought them together was nothing compared to the one still brewing. But for the first time since it all began, Zariah felt something more than fear or anger. She felt hope. And as she watched Liam making calls to protect Vanessa, she wondered, maybe this Hollywood stranger crashing into her life wasn't just trouble. Maybe, against all odds, he might be worth it. What she didn't know was that Derek was already setting his next trap, one that would test everything, her resolve, Liam's strength, and the fragile bond between them. The worst was yet to come. 3 days had passed since Zariah and Liam had hidden away at the lake house. 3 days of watching their faces flash across endless news segments. 3 days of ugly headlines twisting every detail of their lives. 3 days of cruel, venomous comments spreading online like wildfire. And in those same 3 days, against all odds, they had grown closer, closer than either had ever intended. Zariah stood at the kitchen counter, a knife in hand as she sliced crisp vegetables for dinner. Cooking had become her responsibility after Liam's spectacularly disastrous attempt at breakfast their first morning. To her surprise, she found comfort in the familiar rhythm, the steady chopping, the warm smell of garlic and oil in the pan. In the middle of chaos, it was the one small slice of normal she could cling to. "That smells incredible," Liam said as he entered, fresh from yet another tense call with Julian. His shoulders looked heavy, but his smile was genuine. "Just a simple stir-fry," Zariah replied with a shrug, though she couldn't hide the small smile tugging at her lips. "After years of overpriced restaurant food, trust me, simple home cooking feels like a luxury," Liam admitted, leaning casually against the counter. His shoulder brushed hers, just barely, but the small accidental touch made her heart skip. These little moments had been happening more often. A brush of hands when passing plates. Lingering glances across the room. Long conversations that lasted deep into the night. Neither had acknowledged it, but both felt the shift like a current pulling them somewhere neither was ready to name. "Any updates on Vanessa?" Zariah asked, focusing a little too hard on the vegetables, trying to mask the heat rising in her cheeks. "Julian's arranged private security. She's at a hotel under another name until the interview," Liam said, dragging a hand through his hair. "She's scared, but she's still willing to testify. I owe her a lot." "We both do," Zariah agreed softly. "Julian thinks her testimony will change everything." "It does," Liam said, snatching a piece of bell pepper from the cutting board and popping it into his mouth. "Without her, it's just my word against Derek's. With her, we've got a neutral witness. Someone who saw him threaten me first. That's huge. The embezzlement charges are still a mess though," he added grimly. "But at least I won't be staring down assault charges." Zariah nodded in relief. Though she had known Liam less than a week, she was certain of one thing. He was not the violent, unstable man Derek painted him to be. Her next words slipped out before she could stop them. "What about us?" Liam turned, his blue eyes locking onto hers. "What about us?" "The interview tomorrow," she clarified quickly, forcing her voice casual. "What do we say? About how we met. About why I'm here." "The truth," Liam answered without hesitation. "That you were kind enough to help a stranger in need, and you got dragged into this nightmare because of it. And that's all." Zariah pressed, instantly regretting it. What else had she expected? Something flickered in Liam's eyes before he looked away. What else would there be? "Nothing," she said too quickly, turning back to the chopping board. "You're right. The truth is best." A thick, awkward silence filled the kitchen, the first in days. Zariah focused on her task while Liam absently scrolled through his phone, both of them pretending the moment hadn't just happened. The tension broke with the crunch of tires on gravel outside. They exchanged sharp looks. No one was expected. "Stay here," Liam said, moving swiftly to the window. He peered out, then exhaled. "It's Julian. But he's not alone." Moments later, Julian stepped inside with a young woman beside him, dark hair pulled tight into a ponytail, nervous energy radiating from her. "Vanessa," Liam said, instantly stepping forward. The woman nodded, eyes darting anxiously around the room. "Mr. Carter, I'm so sorry to show up unannounced." "What happened?" Liam asked, his concern snapping into sharp focus. "I thought you were staying at the hotel until tomorrow." Julian set his briefcase down, his expression grim. "There was an incident. Someone broke into her hotel room this afternoon." Zariah gasped. "What?" "I'm fine," Vanessa said quickly, though her voice trembled. "I wasn't there. I'd gone downstairs for coffee. But when I came back," she swallowed, "my room was trashed. And this?" She pulled a folded paper from her bag. Liam took it and read aloud, "Keep your mouth shut or next time you won't be so lucky." The room went still. "This is serious," Julian said. "I've reported it to the police, but I decided she'd be safer here until the interview." "Of course," Liam said immediately. "You'll stay here. One of the spare rooms." "I don't want to impose," Vanessa whispered. "You're not imposing," Zariah assured, guiding her gently toward a seat at the kitchen island. "You're risking everything to help Liam. The least we can do is keep you safe." She poured her a glass of water. "Are you hungry? Dinner's almost ready." Vanessa's shoulders loosened slightly at her kindness. "Thank you. I haven't eaten since breakfast." As Zariah finished the stir-fry, Liam and Julian spoke in low, clipped voices near the window. From the tension in their faces, the conversation was not good. When Julian finally left, Liam's jaw was set tight. "Everything okay?" Zariah asked carefully as they all sat down to eat. "Not really," Liam admitted. "The break-in means Derek's desperate. Julian thinks we should postpone the interview." "But we can't," Vanessa protested immediately. "The longer we wait, the more damage he does, to you, to your reputations. To both of you." She glanced at Zariah. "I agree," Liam said firmly. "Which is why I told Julian, we're going ahead as planned." Dinner continued in thoughtful silence until Vanessa spoke again. She set her fork down, eyes steady. "I should tell you why I'm really doing this." "What do you mean?" Liam asked. Vanessa drew in a deep breath. "I've worked at that hotel for 3 years. I've seen Derek at dozens of events. And I've seen the way he treats women. Young women, especially those desperate to break into the industry. He's got a reputation among the staff." Zariah leaned forward. "Has he harassed you?" Vanessa's hands trembled as she nodded. "Several times. But I needed the job. I kept quiet. Until that night. When I saw him threatening you, Mr. Carter, something inside me broke. I realized I was done letting men like him believe they can do whatever they want with no consequences." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "I'm so sorry for what he put you through. And I promise you, he will face consequences." After dinner, Zariah showed Vanessa to one of the guest rooms while Liam stepped away to make more calls, tightening security around the house and for the upcoming interview. When Zariah returned, she found him at the window, staring out at the dark lake. "This is getting dangerous," she said quietly, joining him. "Breaking into hotel rooms, threatening notes, it's more than bad press now." "I know," Liam said grimly. "Julian wants extra security for all of us." "Is it really that serious?" "Yes," Liam said without hesitation, turning to face her. "Derek has millions of reasons to stop us from speaking out. And clearly he's willing to cross lines I never thought he'd cross." Zariah wrapped her arms around herself, shivering despite the warm night air. "When I let you into my shop that night, I never imagined it would lead to this. Do you regret it?" Liam asked softly. "Helping me?" Zariah considered the question, her heart pounding, her throat tight with the weight of everything that had happened. Her world had been shattered. Her good name dragged through the mud, her quiet life overturned. She was holed up in a lake house under the shadow of security threats, her face splashed across headlines she never asked for. By every rational measure, she should have regretted ever opening that door to him. But she didn't. "No," she said at last, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "I don't regret it." Something shifted in Liam's expression. Relief, gratitude, and a glimmer of something deeper, warmer. He took a step closer, so near she could feel the heat radiating from him. "Zariah?" His voice was low, hesitant but charged. "These past few days." The sharp trill of his phone cut through the moment. Both of them startled, and she instinctively stepped back as he checked the screen. "It's my sister," he murmured, regret flickering in his tone. "I need to take this. She's been worried sick." Zariah nodded, forcing a smile, though her chest ached. She slipped quietly down the hall to her room, her pulse hammering. What had he been about to say? And why did the interruption feel like such a loss? That night none of them found peace. Zariah tossed restlessly, her mind tangled with too many threads. The looming interview, the threat against Vanessa, and that fragile, unspoken moment with Liam. Even when sleep finally came, her dreams twisted with unease. At dawn, hushed voices woke her. Wrapping herself in a robe, she followed the sound to the kitchen. Liam and Vanessa were bent over a laptop, faces tense. "What's going on?" Zariah asked, rubbing her eyes. They both startled. Liam looked up, his face tight with fury. "Derek's made his next move," he said grimly, turning the screen toward her. Her stomach dropped. A gossip site headline screamed across the page. "Exclusive, Liam Carter sex tape with mystery woman, full story inside." "What?" Zariah gasped, horror twisting in her gut. "It's fake," Liam said quickly. "There is no tape. But they're claiming to have one. Look," he scrolled, revealing blurry, obviously doctored stills meant to suggest intimacy. Zariah recoiled. "This is disgusting. How can they just invent something like this?" "They don't need it to be real," Vanessa explained, her voice hard. "They just need enough people to believe. They're trying to make it look like you've been having a secret affair all along, that everything you've said is a cover-up." Liam slammed the laptop shut, his jaw clenched. Julian's already threatening legal action. But it doesn't matter. The damage is spreading faster than we can stop it. Zariah sank into a chair, her skin crawling as if the fabricated images had violated her personally. My mother might see this. My friends. Everyone at the bookstore. The thought made her nauseous. I'm so sorry, Liam said hoarsely. This is all because of me. No, her voice hardened. This is because of Derek. Because of a system that thrives on lies and doesn't care who gets destroyed in the process. She pushed herself to her feet, fury burning away her shock. And I won't let them win. Liam looked at her, then really looked at her, with admiration that softened the anger in his eyes. So we're still doing the interview? He asked. Damn right we are, Zariah said. Now more than ever. The hours that followed blurred into preparation. Julian arrived with Elena Rivera and her small crew, turning the lake house living room into a makeshift studio. Security patrolled outside, watchful and alert. Makeup artists worked under bright lights. Despite the chaos, Zariah felt strangely calm. The fear had burned away, leaving only resolve. She was done being a pawn in someone else's game. Just before the cameras rolled, Liam found her in the kitchen, alone. Are you absolutely sure about this? He asked, his voice low, his eyes searching hers. Once we do this, there's no undoing it. No going back. My privacy was stolen the second reporters camped outside my store, Zariah replied. At least this way we control the story. We tell the truth. He nodded, then gently took her hand, holding it as though it grounded him. Whatever happens, know this. Meeting you has been the only good thing to come out of this nightmare. Her heart lurched, but before she could respond, Julian's voice called them in. It was time. Elena Rivera was infamous for her sharp but fair questions, and she wasted no time. Mr. Carter, she began, her tone crisp as the cameras rolled. You've been accused of assault, drug abuse and erratic behavior by your longtime manager, Derek Morrison. How do you respond? Liam met her gaze, his posture steady. Every accusation is false. Derek Morrison has been embezzling millions from my production company. The night in question, I confronted him at the hotel. He threatened me, told me if I exposed him, he'd destroy me. And is that what's happening now? Elena pressed. A campaign to destroy your reputation? That's exactly what this is, Liam replied firmly. But the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how hard someone tries to bury it. Elena shifted to Vanessa. You've claimed you witnessed this confrontation. What exactly did you see? Vanessa described it all. The way Derek had cornered Liam, the shove that started it, how Liam had only defended himself before leaving. And why should viewers believe your account over Mr. Morrison's? Elena challenged. Because I gain nothing from lying, Vanessa said plainly. In fact, speaking out has put me in danger. My hotel room was broken into yesterday. I received a threatening note. Do you believe Derek Morrison was behind that? I can't prove it, Vanessa admitted. But the timing says enough. Finally, Elena turned to Zariah. Miss Cole, your name has been dragged into this storm as well. Some reports claim you've been romantically involved with Mr. Carter for months. Others suggest you're a fan who manipulated your way into his life. What's the truth? Zariah inhaled deeply, her heart pounding. The truth is far less dramatic. 3 nights ago, during that thunderstorm, Liam walked into my bookstore, soaked, exhausted, needing help. I let him stay on my couch. That was the first time we'd met. The next morning, somehow the press knew he was there. And suddenly I was a mistress, a gold digger, a crazed fan. None of it was true. We just met. So, to be clear, there is no romantic relationship between you two? Zariah hesitated, glancing at Liam. The unspoken feelings between them buzzed in the silence. What could she say? That in 3 short days they had forged something real, fragile, and unexpected? Before she could speak, Liam answered smoothly. Miss Cole and I were thrown together by extraordinary circumstances. She's shown remarkable kindness and strength in the face of relentless attacks. Whatever bond exists between us now grew from surviving this nightmare together, not before it. Elena nodded, unflinching. Then let's address the alleged sex tape that surfaced this morning. The interview stretched nearly an hour. Piece by piece, they dismantled Derek's lies. Liam presented records proving the embezzlement. Vanessa testified to his long-standing harassment of women at the hotel. Zariah spoke openly about the toll of false rumors on her life and business. For the first time since it all began, the truth finally had a chance to breathe. By the end of the interview, they were wrung out, drained in every possible way, but for the first time in days, a thread of hope shimmered through the exhaustion. They had spoken. Their story was out there, unfiltered and uncorrupted by tabloid spin. As the crew packed up, Elena Rivera approached quietly. Her expression was calm, but her eyes carried weight. "This is going to make waves," she warned softly. "Derek won't take this lying down." "We're prepared," Liam said with a confidence that sounded convincing, though Zariah wondered if anyone could truly prepare for what Derek might unleash next. When the house was empty again, the three of them collapsed onto the living room couches, the silence heavy as the adrenaline seeped out of their bodies. "So, now what?" Vanessa asked, voicing the thought each of them had been turning over. "Now we wait," Liam replied. "The interview airs tomorrow night. Until then we stay put. We stay safe." "And after?" Zariah asked quietly, though the question seemed to hang heavier than she intended. Liam met her eyes. "After depends on how people respond. Best case? The public turns against Derek, the police dig into the embezzlement charges, and we get our lives back." Zariah nodded, but the idea of going back no longer felt simple. Could she really return to her quiet life at Literary Brew after everything? And more complicated still, did she even want to, if it meant returning to a life without Liam? The questions chased one another in circles until she finally excused herself and stepped outside. On the patio, the lake stretched before her, painted in shades of gold and rose by the setting sun. It was so serene, so still, completely at odds with the chaos consuming her life. The door slid open behind her and she didn't need to look to know who it was. "Penny for your thoughts?" Liam asked, joining her at the railing. "I'm not sure they're worth that much," she said with a faint smile. "I doubt that." His shoulder brushed hers, a touch casual and familiar, yet still enough to warm her skin. "You're one of the most thoughtful people I've ever met." She looked at him, surprised, but he went on. "I was just thinking about tomorrow. And the day after. What happens when all of this is over?" Zariah turned to him. "You'll go back to your world and I'll go back to mine." Liam was silent for a moment, then shook his head. "What if I don't want to go back to my world?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" "My world, Hollywood, fame, the endless scrutiny. I was already tired of it before any of this. Now," he exhaled heavily. "Now all I can think about is what you said about your bookstore. How much you love it, how peaceful it sounded. Helping people find the right story at the right moment. That's real." "It is," Zariah admitted softly. "But it's a world away from yours." "Maybe that's exactly what I need," Liam said, his eyes locking onto hers. "A change. A chance to find out who I really am without the cameras, without the spotlight. Maybe I need someone who sees the man, not the movie star." Her heart stumbled. "Liam?" A sudden crash shattered the moment. Both of them whirled and rushed inside. Vanessa stood frozen in the kitchen, a shattered glass at her feet, her phone clutched tight. Her face was pale, stricken. "What happened?" Liam demanded. "It's Derek." Her voice shook. "He just emailed me." She handed over the phone. The message was short, chilling. "I warned you. Check the news." Liam snatched up the remote, turning on the TV. The screen filled with breaking news banners. "Breaking: fire at Oakwood's Literary Brew. Arson suspected." Zariah's breath hitched. The footage showed her bookstore engulfed in flames, firefighters battling the inferno as bystanders looked on in horror. "No!" The word was barely a whisper before her knees gave way. Liam caught her, guiding her onto the couch. Her world was burning. Her dream, her livelihood, her home, everything she had built, turning to ash. The reporter's voice droned over the images. "Sources indicate the fire appears deliberate. The bookstore's owner, Zariah Cole, has been in the spotlight recently for her alleged connection to actor Liam Carter. Police are investigating potential links." "I have to go," Zariah choked, trying to rise. "I have to see. I have to." "Zariah." Liam caught her hands, holding her still. "It's not safe. If Derek did this." "I don't care," she sobbed. "That's my life. He's destroying my home." Her phone rang. "Maya." Zariah snatched it up with trembling hands. "Maya? Are you okay? Is anyone hurt?" "No one's hurt," Maya reassured her. "I closed early for a doctor's appointment, thank God. But Zith, it's bad. Really bad." "How bad?" There was a pause before Maya answered. "The main shop is gone. The books, the furniture, everything. They're fighting to save the structure, but..." Zariah squeezed her eyes shut, tears spilling hot and fast. Years of work. Every ounce of savings. The children's story circles, the cozy reading corners, the customers who had made her shop their second home, all gone. "The police want to talk to you," Maya added. They found signs of a break-in through the back door. Tell them I'll call, Zariah managed. Her voice cracked. I just need a minute. She hung up and sat in silence, numb, Liam's arm steadying her, Vanessa looking on with guilt etched across her face. This is because of me, Vanessa whispered. Because of the interview. No, Liam cut in, his voice sharp. This is because of Derek. Only Derek. And I swear to you he will pay. But Zariah barely heard. She was lost in memories of her shop. The day she signed the lease, the grand opening, the children laughing in the reading nook, the smell of fresh coffee mingling with old pages. Memories turned to ashes in a matter of minutes. I need to be alone, she whispered suddenly, pulling away. Neither Liam nor Vanessa stopped her as she disappeared into her room and shut the door. There, curled on her bed, she finally let the sobs pour out, grief for her shop, for her stolen privacy, for the normal life that felt further and further from reach. Hours passed. Darkness fell. Once or twice, Liam knocked softly, but she couldn't bring herself to answer. Near midnight, hollowed out from crying, she finally emerged. The house was silent. She drifted to the kitchen for water, then stopped at the patio doors. The lake shimmered under the full moon, silver ripples stretching into the night. So still. So heartbreakingly beautiful. I thought I'd find you here. She turned to see Liam approach, weary lines on his face, his eyes shadowed with sleeplessness. I'm sorry I shut you out, she murmured. You don't need to apologize, he said softly, standing beside her but keeping a respectful distance. How are you feeling? Numb. Angry. Scared. Her gaze stayed on the moonlit water. Mostly angry. At me? His voice was barely audible. Zariah thought about it. It would be so easy to blame him. If Liam hadn't walked into her shop that night, none of this would have happened. Her bookstore would still be standing. Her life would still be intact. But deep down she knew the truth. No, she said finally. Not at you. At Derek. At a world where someone can torch what you've built just because they feel threatened. At myself, a little, for thinking we could just tell the truth and everything would be fine. We can still fix this, Liam insisted. The interview airs tomorrow. People will hear the truth. Derek will face consequences. Will he? Zariah challenged, her voice breaking. Will he go to jail for what he did to my shop? For the lies about us? Or will he hire his expensive lawyers and PR teams and walk away untouched? Liam had no answer. That's what I thought, she whispered bitterly. This isn't a movie, Liam. The bad guys don't always get punished. Then we'll make sure he does. His voice was low but fierce. Something in his tone made her look at him sharply. What are you thinking? That I spent 10 years making Derek rich. I know his secrets, his weaknesses. I know how to hurt him. His eyes were harder than she'd ever seen them, cold with resolve. Liam, Zariah's voice trembled with caution. Don't do something you'll regret. The only thing I regret, he said, reaching for her hand and gripping it tight, is bringing this nightmare into your life. Let me make it right. Please. Before Zariah could answer Liam's promise, his phone buzzed, vibrating sharp against the silence. An unknown number. He hesitated, then answered, pressing speaker. Mr. Carter, a voice said smoothly, familiar enough to make all three of them tense. Derek. Liam's voice went cold. I have nothing to say to you. Really? Derek's tone was smug, almost playful. Not even after what happened to your girlfriend's little bookshop? Tragic accident, that. If you're calling to threaten us, save it, Liam snapped. The interview is happening. It airs tomorrow. The world will know exactly what you've done. Oh, Liam. Derek chuckled low and mocking. I'm not calling to threaten. I'm calling to negotiate. Zariah's pulse spiked. Negotiate what? Liam demanded. A deal. Derek's voice was smooth, rehearsed. Cancel the interview. Sign a statement claiming you lied about the embezzlement because of stress and substance abuse. In return, I'll make sure Miss Cole receives a generous insurance payout for her little shop. Enough to rebuild it twice over. Zariah's grip on Liam's hand tightened. The temptation was brutal. Her bookstore rebuilt, her dream restored. All it would cost was silence. And if we refuse? Liam asked, though the answer was obvious. Then what happened to her shop? Derek said simply. Will only be the beginning. You have until 9 a.m. to decide. The line went dead, leaving a thick, ringing silence. We're not taking his deal, Zariah said immediately, surprising even herself with the conviction in her voice. Zariah, your shop, Liam began, but she cut him off. My shop is already gone. And I'll rebuild it someday, but not with his blood money. She straightened her shoulders, a steel resolve settling over her. He burned down my shop to shut us up. If we let him win now, then everything we've lost will mean nothing. Liam looked at her with something like awe. You're incredible. You know that. I'm angry, Zariah corrected him. And I'm done being a victim. Tomorrow the world hears our story. And Derek Morrison learns what happens when he picks the wrong people to silence. For the first time since the fire, she felt something stronger than grief, an iron determination, a fierce will to fight. And as Liam pulled her close, holding her tightly, she felt something else stirring too. Something fragile but undeniable. Something dangerously close to love. Whatever happens next, she whispered against his chest, we face it together. Together, Liam promised, his lips brushing her hair. Always. Outside, the moon drifted silently across the sky, casting its silver glow on the lake house. Inside, two found comfort in each other's arms. And in another room, one person sat alone, sending a message that would change everything. Miles away, in a glittering penthouse, Derek Morrison read the text with growing alarm. It's done. But this is the last thing I'm doing for you. Leave me alone or I go to the police with everything I know. His hands trembled as he poured himself another drink. Things were unraveling. Fast. The interview could destroy him if they really had the evidence they claimed. The girl from the hotel knew too much. The bookstore owner was proving far less pliable than expected. And now, even his accomplice was threatening to turn. Derek stared out over the city skyline, his empire glittering back at him. An empire built on lies, theft, and manipulation, now teetering on the edge of collapse. He had one final card to play, a desperate gambit. He picked up his phone. It's me, he said when the line connected. I need something on Zariah Cole. Something big enough to obliterate her credibility before tomorrow night. I don't care what it costs or how you get it. Just get it done. He hung up, unaware the call had been recorded. Unaware that the trap he had spent years weaving was finally snapping shut around him. At the lake house, the truth was gathering force, ready to shatter his empire of lies. And Derek had no idea that the small-town bookstore owner he dismissed as nothing would be the one to bring him down. Morning came sharp and bright, sunlight scattering diamonds across the lake, a cruel contrast to the storm inside the house. Zariah stood at the kitchen window, coffee in hand, watching ducks glide across the water. It felt surreal. Only 4 days ago her biggest worry had been a delayed inventory shipment. Now her shop was gone. Her privacy was gone. Her old life was gone. And strangely she didn't feel broken anymore. There was a strange freedom in having lost everything, because when you had nothing left to lose, there was nothing left to fear. You're up early. Liam's voice pulled her back. He entered, hair tousled from restless sleep, exhaustion still clinging to his eyes. Couldn't sleep, she admitted. Too much on my mind. He nodded. Julian called. The network's promoting the interview everywhere. It airs at 8 tonight. Has Derek called again? No. His deadline passed an hour ago. Liam poured himself coffee. Guess he knows we're not backing down. Zariah wasn't convinced. A man desperate enough to commit arson wouldn't just surrender. What do you think he'll try next? Liam hesitated. Julian's worried he'll push fake material. Maybe forged emails or doctored texts. Try to make me look like a liar before the interview airs. So he'll try to destroy my credibility too, Zariah finished. It made perfect sense. We'll be ready, Liam said, moving beside her. After a moment, he reached for her hand. Derek had harassed her so many times that eventually, Vanessa had started recording every single interaction for her own safety. She had never told anyone, but the files lived in her phone like hidden insurance. Now, with her hands trembling, she revealed the truth. The last time Derek cornered me, I hit record. I couldn't risk him denying what he said. And when I saw him threatening you at the hotel, Liam, I did it again. I have it all. Every word. His confession about the money. His promise to destroy you if you dared speak out. She handed the phone over, her resolve firm despite her shaking voice. Liam's fingers shook as he pressed play. The recording came through slightly muffled but unmistakably damning. Derek's voice, sharp and venomous, echoed in the room. Liam, if you breathe a word about the money, I'll ruin you. Don't test me. I've ended people before and I'll do it again. Liam froze. His jaw tightened, his knuckles white as he gripped the phone. Why didn't you tell us you had this? His voice was strained, a mixture of disbelief and hope. Vanessa's eyes glistened. Because I was terrified. Derek has friends everywhere. Powerful friends. I thought just telling the truth would be enough. that my testimony could stand. But after what he did to Zariah's shop, after the lies he spread about her, I realized fear isn't an option anymore. Zariah reached for her impulsively, wrapping her arms around her. You're braver than you'll ever know. Immediately, Liam was on the phone to Julian, his voice electric with urgency as he relayed the discovery. For nearly an hour, plans shifted. The video was uploaded securely and transmitted to Elena Rivera's team. That single piece of evidence could dismantle Derek Morrison's carefully constructed empire in one blow. For the first time in what felt like forever, Zariah allowed hope to seep into her chest. Perhaps the tide was turning. Perhaps, for once, truth had a fighting chance. The afternoon dragged on like a storm waiting to break. Security doubled their patrols around the lake house, their movements sharp and deliberate. Equipment checks. Phone calls. Updates from Julian about the broadcast. By 6, Zariah could hardly breathe. She stepped out onto the patio, needing open air to quiet the riot in her chest. 2 hours. In 2 hours, millions would see her face, hear her story, and judge her without mercy. The weight of it pressed against her ribs. The sliding door opened softly behind her. She didn't need to turn to know who it was. Liam. Somehow, she already knew the rhythm of his footsteps, the sound of his breath, the quiet gravity he carried. Nervous? He asked gently, coming to stand at the railing beside her. Terrified, she admitted. But ready? Her lips curved faintly. As ready as I'll ever be. You're stronger than you think, Liam said, his voice warm, steady. Most people would have shattered days ago. But you, his gaze lingered on her, reverent. You're still standing. I'm not strong, she countered softly. I just had the best distraction. His smile was almost shy. A distraction? His tone teased, but beneath it was something deeper. You know you're more than that, she whispered. Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Then Liam asked, voice low, raw, then what am I to you? Before she could answer, the door crashed open. Julian strode out, his face set in grim lines. We have a problem, he announced. The air shifted instantly. What is it? Liam demanded. Derek. He's on his way here. The words landed like a blow. What? Zariah's stomach lurched. How does he even know where we are? Julian shook his head, already dialing. I don't know. But security spotted a car approaching. The driver matches his description. Police are on their way, but they're 20 minutes out. He'll be here in less than 5. Zariah's pulse thundered. You two need to stay inside, away from the windows, Julian ordered. But Liam's eyes hardened. No. I've run from him long enough. He turned to Zariah, his expression fierce but gentle. You should go inside. This could get ugly. Her answer was immediate. No. I'm staying. Whatever happens, we face it together. Remember? His expression softened. He gave her a look that was part warning, part gratitude. Then he nodded once. Together. They moved toward the front of the house. Vanessa joined them, pale but resolute. Security spread out in defensive lines, their bodies tense, hands hovering near their weapons. A sleek black car rolled into view, crunching over gravel. It stopped just short of the house, engine humming. For a long beat, nothing happened. Then the driver's door opened. Derek Morrison emerged. His suit was impeccable, his sunglasses expensive, but his swagger had cracks in it now. He moved with frantic energy, his veneer of control unraveling. Liam, he called out, voice booming across the driveway. We need to talk. There's nothing left to say, Liam shot back, stepping forward despite Julian's protests. It's over, Derek. Derek's laugh was hollow, jagged. Over? You think this is over? He ripped off his sunglasses, revealing bloodshot eyes rimmed with sleeplessness. Do you know what you've done? That interview, those promos, they're destroying me. Clients dropping me every hour. My phone's on fire. And it's your fault. You did this to yourself, Liam countered, his voice like stone. When you stole from me. When you threatened me. When you torched Zariah's shop. I had no choice. Derek's mask cracked fully. He shouted, spittle flying. I built everything from nothing, and you were going to ruin it all. You could have made it right, Liam said, shaking his head. Give the money back. Own up to your mistakes. It's gone. Derek roared. Investments. Debts. It's all gone. His eyes darted wildly, desperation seeping through. But I can still fix this. Cancel the interview. That's all I need. It's too late, Liam said firmly. We have you on video, Derek. Vanessa recorded everything. The color drained from Derek's face. He froze, then snapped. With a sudden motion, he yanked a gun from inside his jacket. Security moved instantly, weapons raised, shouts ringing through the yard. Liam shoved Zariah behind him, but she stepped forward again, refusing to be shielded. "Put it down, Derek," Liam said, voice steady but taut. "This won't fix anything." The gun wavered in Derek's shaking hand, but his eyes burned with madness. "If you're not alive to air that interview, if your little bookstore girlfriend isn't there to play victim, maybe I still have a chance." "The interview is already recorded," Zariah cut in, her voice sharp, steady. "It airs tonight whether we're here or not. Killing us won't stop it." His gaze snapped to her. "Wild. Unhinged. Then maybe I just want the satisfaction." The gun lifted higher. Everything erupted at once. "Derek!" Vanessa shouted, stepping forward, her phone held up like a weapon. "I'm recording this too. Just like I recorded you at the hotel. Just like I recorded your confession about the fire." His eyes widened, confusion flickering. "What? You didn't check your texts?" Vanessa pressed, her voice trembling but bold. "The ones you sent bragging about the bookstore? I have those too." It was a bluff, but Derek believed it. His face contorted with panic. His grip on the gun faltered as he instinctively reached for his phone with his free hand. That was all security needed. They surged forward. Shouts. A struggle. The gun clattered across the gravel. In seconds, Derek was face down, his wrists bound, his empire crumbling with him. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Zariah's knees buckled with the weight of relief. Liam caught her instantly, his arm wrapping around her waist, anchoring her against the chaos. It was over, or at least the beginning of the end. Vanessa stood frozen, her phone still clutched in her hand, disbelief etched across her face. She had just stared down Derek Morrison with nothing but a bluff in her own trembling voice, and it had worked. "You okay?" Liam asked softly, turning to Zariah. She nodded, though her throat was tight with the weight of everything. For the first time in what felt like forever, they were safe. It was over. The hours that followed blurred together. Police statements. Phone calls. Security sweeping the property. Derek was hauled away in handcuffs, facing charges of attempted assault, criminal threats and, thanks to Vanessa's recordings, embezzlement and arson. His empire had cracked wide open, the facade ripped away. By nightfall, the group found themselves gathered in the lake house living room. The exhaustion in the air was palpable, but underneath it lay something else. Freedom. For the first time in days, the shadow had lifted. The interview was scheduled to air in just 30 minutes. "What happens now?" Zariah asked quietly, curled into the couch beside Liam, her voice equal parts nervous and fragile. "Now," Liam said, glancing at her with steady eyes, "we watch. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we start rebuilding." The word caught her off guard. "Rebuilding?" "Your shop," Liam clarified gently. "If you'll let me help. I know it won't be the same, but—" "Why would you do that?" Zariah interrupted, her brow furrowing. "You don't owe me anything. If anything, I owed you for opening my door that night." "This isn't about owing," Liam replied, his tone low but firm. "It's about wanting to. Wanting to be part of your future, if you'll have me." The words hung heavy in the air, more powerful than anything either of them had said before. Before she could answer, Julian entered briskly. "It's starting." He reached for the remote, turning up the volume. On the screen, Elena Rivera's serious face filled the broadcast. Her voice carried gravity as she introduced the story: betrayal, embezzlement, arson, threats, and a chance meeting that set everything in motion. Zariah watched herself appear on screen, speaking with poise and clarity, her voice steady. It almost startled her. She hardly recognized the woman she saw, the woman who spoke with resolve, who met lies with truth and threats with courage. She wasn't the same person who had collapsed in tears after her bookstore burned. No, she had transformed. She was stronger. Unbreakable. When the interview ended, Julian's phone lit up almost immediately, buzzing and ringing non-stop. The reaction was instantaneous. Social media flooded with support. News outlets demanded follow-ups. Hollywood contacts reached out to Liam in disbelief and sympathy. "They believe us," Vanessa whispered in wonder as she scrolled through Twitter. "They're on our side." For Zariah, the wave of validation was sweet, but secondary. What mattered most was knowing the truth was finally free, unshakable, undeniable. As Julian and Vanessa stepped outside to handle calls, Zariah suddenly found herself alone with Liam for the first time since Derek's arrest. "You still haven't answered me," he said softly. His eyes caught hers. About us. About the future. Zoraya's chest tightened. She drew in a long breath. Liam, what we've been through, it's not normal. It's trauma. Fear. Survival. How do we know what's real and what's just the rush of everything? Is that what you think this is? A flicker of hurt crossed his face. Just survival bonding? I don't know, she admitted honestly. A week ago you were just a face on a movie poster to me. And now you're the man who held me while I mourned my shop. The man who risked his career to shield me. The man who looks at me like I'm, her voice wavered, like I'm something precious. You are, Liam said simply, his voice almost breaking. But your world is so different from mine, she whispered. When this dies down you'll go back to Hollywood, movies, fame, and I'll be here rebuilding a small bookstore in Oakwood. Liam leaned forward, his eyes unwavering. What if I told you I've been thinking about taking a break from Hollywood? A long break. Maybe even for good. Zoraya blinked at him, stunned. What would you even do instead? I don't know yet, Liam admitted with a quiet smile. But when you told me about your bookstore, how you help people find the right story at the right moment, it made me realize something. I've lost touch with why I started acting. It was never supposed to be about fame or money. It was about stories. Stories that matter. He reached for her hand, entwining his fingers with hers. Maybe I need to remember that. Maybe I need a life where people see me, not just an image. And maybe I need someone who reminds me of what's real. Zoraya's heart pounded. Are you saying you want to stay in Oakwood? With me? I'm saying, Liam corrected gently, that I want to find out if this, what's between us, is real. Not in a hideaway, not under siege, but in real life. Day by day. If you're willing to try. She hesitated only a moment. The truth was undeniable. Yes, he had brought chaos into her life. Yes, they had been tested by fear, lies, and fire. But he had also brought light, hope, and a kind of passion she had never known before. I think, she said slowly, her lips curving, that my normal life could use a little shaking up. Liam's smile lit the room like sunrise. So, that's a yes? Instead of answering, Zoraya leaned forward and kissed him. Soft, tentative at first, then deepening with everything they had held back. When they pulled apart, breathless, she whispered against his lips. That's a yes. 6 months later. The bell above the door jingled cheerfully as Zoraya adjusted the final stack of summer reading recommendations. Literary Brew, Chapter 2. Her shop reborn. Larger. Brighter. A cozy cafe tucked into one side. More light streaming through tall windows. Different from before, but still hers. Still home. The new James Patterson just arrived, Maya called from behind the counter. Want me to hold a copy for Mrs. Harris? She's been asking all month. Yes, please, Zoraya replied, stepping back to admire the fresh display. Everything looked perfect, just in time for tomorrow's grand reopening celebration. She had worried she might never recover. But Oakwood had surprised her. After Derek's downfall, the community rallied. A crowdfunding campaign raised enough to secure this new space. Neighbors donated time, labor, paint, shelves. They had lifted her dream back to life. And then there was Liam. True to his word, he had stepped away from Hollywood. He turned down 3 major roles, choosing instead to stay to help rebuild, to build with her. He invested in the store, yes, but more than that, he invested in her. His presence, his love, had carried her through the hardest moments. The back door opened, pulling her from her thoughts. Liam entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Thought you could use this, he said, offering her one with a grin. The place looks incredible, Z. You've done it? We've done it, she corrected, taking the coffee and kissing him quickly. I couldn't have done it without you. Sure you could have, Liam teased. But it wouldn't have been nearly as much fun. She laughed, shaking her head. He wasn't wrong. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind, but they had found their rhythm, slowly, carefully, joyfully. Liam rented a small house at the edge of town, though most nights he ended up in her apartment above the shop. They were learning each other, step by step, choosing normal over chaos. Hollywood still called, scripts, offers, opportunities, but Liam only smiled, reading carefully, waiting for a story worth telling. For now, Oakwood was enough. Derek's trial loomed next month. With mountains of evidence and new victims coming forward, his empire had collapsed entirely. Whatever happened in court, Zoraya had made peace with her role in bringing the truth to light. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was a survivor. Vanessa too had found her own new path, moving to New York, managing a prestigious hotel. She and Zoraya still spoke every week, their bond unshakable, forged in fire. "What are you thinking about?" Liam asked gently, slipping an arm around her waist. "Just how strange life is," Zariah murmured, leaning into him. "If you hadn't shown up at my door that night?" "If you hadn't opened it," Liam added softly. She smiled. "Everything would be different." He kissed her hair, holding her close. "Do you ever regret opening that door?" Zariah looked up at him, her heart steady, certain. "Not for a single second." Zariah let the question linger, weighing it with the same seriousness she'd given every choice since her life had been upended. The old bookstore was gone. The quiet, anonymous routine she once clung to, also gone. But in their place she had something new. A beginning forged from fire and fear, rebuilt on resilience. And standing in front of her was this man. A man who looked at her not as a survivor, not as a victim, but as the most captivating story he'd ever discovered. "Not for a second," she said at last, her voice steady, truthful. The bell above the door chimed, the soft sound breaking the intimacy of the moment. Zariah gave Liam's hand one last squeeze before slipping away to greet the customer who had just entered. An elderly woman, kind-eyed and familiar, shuffled inside with a small smile. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Wilson," Zariah greeted warmly. "How can I help you today?" "I'm looking for something for my grandson's birthday," Mrs. Wilson replied. "He's turning 10. Loves adventure stories." "I have just the thing," Zariah said with quiet confidence, leading her toward the children's section. Her hand brushed along spines of books she knew as well as old friends, her steps light with purpose. From across the shop, Liam stood still watching her. It wasn't just admiration, it was awe. The way she carried herself now, so certain, so grounded, so alive in her element. She had been through fire, through chaos, through loss, yet here she was, smiling, thriving, connecting a boy she hadn't even met yet to the magic of stories. This was who she truly was. And somehow, against every odd, he had become part of this world, part of her story. Zariah glanced over her shoulder, catching his eyes for the briefest of moments. Her smile, private, intimate, meant only for him, hit him harder than any spotlight ever had. In that instant, Liam felt something settle in him, solid and unshakable. Certainty. What had begun as a desperate night, him seeking shelter from the storm, her offering refuge, had grown into the most real and meaningful connection of his life. The flashing cameras, the media frenzy, the headlines, they were all gone now, faded into the noise of yesterday's scandals. But what remained was this, her, him, and the truth of what they had built together. This wasn't a Hollywood romance written to fit a script. It wasn't polished, choreographed, or dressed up for the screen. It was raw. It was messy. It was unpredictable. And it was so much more satisfying than anything Liam had ever performed. As he leaned against one of the shop's sturdy wooden beams, he realized something with a clarity that took his breath away, the strangest twist of fate. That stormy night when he had stumbled onto her porch, had turned out to be the greatest moment of his life. Outside, sunlight spilled across the freshly painted sign above the door, Literary Brew, Chapter 2. Inside, surrounded by shelves of stories and the smell of fresh coffee, two people who should never have crossed paths were busy writing their own. Not on paper. Not in ink. But in the quiet moments, the shared glances, the small acts of choosing each other, day after day. And unlike the endings Liam had acted out in countless films, this one wasn't a performance. It wasn't perfect and it wasn't wrapped neatly with a bow. But it was real. A new chapter, boundless with possibility. For a man who had spent years pretending to be someone else, and a woman who had surrounded herself with fictional lives to escape her own, this messy, beautiful, unexpected love, was the truest, most compelling story either of them had ever lived. And as the sun dipped lower and the bell chimed again with another customer's arrival, their story kept unfolding. Not an ending but a beginning. A love story still being written, one page at a time.